There we go. What is up, everybody? We are back. It is I, the saltiest gaijin, still with no beard. Uh, but we're back for the Gauntlet with
Yes.
my ever vigilant co-host Strabby Noobs. Strabby Noobs, how are you doing tonight?
I am doing pretty good, honestly.
I'm glad to hear it, my friend. So we're gonna be playing the Gauntlet. It's actually been a little while because the last
Yeah.
Gauntlet episode was with Joffer.
Mm-hmm.
And then we decided to end up taking a week off due to the Anthology. Didn't want to play a lame duck
Yeah.
explorer. Because like, what's the point when we're this is more of a competitive series? But I'm really excited to play this one out because you got a really interesting deck that
Yes.
we did work on a bit together, and it's kind of based on what we have been sort of both kind of liking from cards from the anthology, which
Mhm.
is heroic. I'll bring the.
Yes.
I do have a copy of the deck here in front of me
Okay. Perfect.
on stream, so of course, actually, let me do this so you don't get a delay. I should be smart and share my screen with you. All right,
There we go.
there you go. So this is the blue-white heroic deck. This will be attempting to run the gauntlet. Um, of course, Boros heroic is a well-known pioneer deck by this point. We just call it featherless feather. Instead of that's what it gets called when it's not being called heroic. Very exciting to see. Also, not just a blue-white version because we've also tried Jeskai. At least I have individually, and I know you mentioned you had played against it
Yep.
before. Why don't you talk a little bit about this deck?
Yeah, absolutely. So, what's really fun about heroic, in general, not just for the archetype in general, is that the targeting doesn't matter whether or not it comes from these instants and sorceries, which you have typically seen in like the boards or even just the traditional feather decks, because feather itself only triggers off of those types of spells.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we're able to reduce the color down, and actually, when we were designing this, we actually just kind of accidentally fell into the budget battle. uh,
We did end up I think partially subconsciously,
yeah.
like falling into the 12 rares, 4 mythics. There's not even 4 mythics in this deck. I think it's just a
No.
single Poppet Stitcher in the sideboard.
Yes, yes. And if I would have done two additional pop stickers if I had the wild cards. I've been slacking on my drafts because I didn't want to play any Baldur's Gate. Um,
Fair enough. It's not very
um,
fun anyway, so.
but yeah, I mean, we have obviously favored Hoplite, Battlewise Hoplite that have come in. Illuminator Virtuoso and Ledger Shredder, big standouts from New Capenna in Standard even.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Well, Ledger Shredder
Cent-
played in every format.
yeah,
It's
true.
even starting to show up in Legacy.
Yeah, and then we don't necessarily have the power to always get through, but Curious Obsession is really good at giving us a small buff, triggering the heroic to get the +1/+1 counters. The opponent will usually have to make a choice to either block and let their creature die, or let it through and you get to draw a card. Because you don't sacrifice Curious Obsession unless you haven't attacked. So all you have to do is
Mm-hmm.
attack. Um, we are able to play reusable spells like Homestead Courage. We can cast twice to trigger those heroics, get the Vigilance, get additional +1/+1 counter. Sentinel's Eyes is kind of the same deal. We have quite a few connivers. We can discard the Sentinel's Eyes, we can discard the Homestead's Courage, cast them from the graveyard for relatively cheap. Also gives that vigilance and that boost, triggering all those heroic effects. We have a couple things to protect our creatures. Fight is one, very good. We have a pretty even spread of humans and non-humans, so we're likely going to get the double effect, provided that we're in a situation where it makes sense to play two or more creatures. Especially, it all depends on the matchup that you're playing into.
Mm-hmm.
Defiant Strike obviously just draws a card, pretty standard for these types of decks. You want to play these cantrips that also trigger all your effects. Karametra's Blessing works well with the enchantment plan, aura plan that we're going for. The Allicid of Life's Bounty itself is a little bit of life gain. It is an enchantment creature that will get indestructible or can protect one of our more buffed creatures. And March of Swirling Mist can target any creature. It can act both as a way to remove blockers and protect your own creatures. In fact, if you have a bunch of open mana, you can just do it at the end of your opponent's turn. Their creatures will still be phased out, your creatures will phase back in, and you can get both of those effects.
As well as trigger
So,
any heroic abilities, as well as
and trigger any, yeah.
Virtuoso. So like you could like
Yeah.
grow these 3 creatures, and but technically you could grow Ledger Shredder too. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's like this was decided on over Slip Out the Bag, which albeit
Mhm.
is a better rate to protect your one big thing. March of Swirling Mist does that still for 2 mana, but also has this scaling ability to be able to sort of help you end the game and close the distance.
Yeah,
So
and so there's a lot going on with the deck. It's also the top of the curve is 2 mana, so we decided it was okay to run 20 lands.
oh yes.
Um, lots of synergies. Now, if you don't have a creature, you're playing against a deck that has a lot of removal. You need to consider that. Maybe delay a turn to play your creature so you can protect it, and actually your cards aren't just completely dead. But there's a lot even going on just in the main deck. And as you know, I'm very big on value synergy type stuff. So this
Mm-hmm.
is definitely right up my alley.
Oh, absolutely. I'm excited to see how this one does. So, we're going to go ahead and dive into our first match. So, I'm going to predict that this first
Oh,
match.
before we start playing, be
Sure.
sure to.
Hmm.
I'll stop watching.
Oh, yes.
I shouldn't be able to see your screen.
That's fair. I can stop sharing my screen even
Okay.
just to make that a little simpler. There we go. All right. So I predict this first match. This is against the rank 3 deck as far as popularity slot to win rate that we have in the queue. It's Mono Blue Spirits. I predict that this is going to be actually a really good matchup for you.
Okay.
Because Mono Blue Spirits, believe it or not, the best way to typically beat it is not through interaction, it's through quite the opposite. It's to never interact with them ever and just run them over.
Fair enough.
Alright. Looks like I'm on the play. I've got, well, as good a keep as I'm going to have, I think. I could mulligan this. You can mulligan fairly aggressively with the deck I'm playing, but I think in the
Okay.
dark I'm pretty happy with what I got here.
Hmm. Yeah. Actually, no. Yep. That's correct.
So I will say, for all the negativity that these anthologies brought, they did go ahead and make 3 of the decks in the format just plain better than they were,
Yeah.
were some time ago. And I think it's been a net positive. Um, I would say, at least
Hmm.
overall, but there is like concerns, right? Like, because between like the heroic creatures, which I wish they did some more heroic creatures, or like maybe give us like, oh, that's terrifying, or like just give us like more pieces to
I'm
just
trying
the
to
various
think.
decks, but
Okay.
because we're still a
Well,
little short on like the Boros heroic deck from Pioneer. Like we're missing Monastery Swiftspear, which
actually, you know what? We're just gonna.
seems fair enough. Yeah, I can't block, so well, I ain't blocking, but it's not like it's getting any better. Yeah, big life linking threat here is actually, I mean, that's going to do a lot of work in a matchup like this one. Yeah, I think that's actually worth countering. Hit you with
Wow.
the
All right.
Geistlight Snare. This is the reason to be playing
Yeah.
Spirits, basically, that Geistlight Snare.
Mm-hmm.
Like right there was a mana leak. Sometimes it's a 1 mana leak, even, so.
Yeah.
Alright, go ahead.
All right. Second verse, same as the first.
Yeah, that's you got a pretty strong. I've got a Faceless Haven. I mean, if you have like a spell though, like this could go really badly for me. And this is the day, like if you have like Karamitra's Blessing here, or like even like Fight as one, like this is just like you just basically got to make this bigger for the turn, gain 5 life, and like Stone Rain me all in one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this game is pretty well over already. And this is exactly what I was talking about, by the way, where it's just like there's no way for a deck like. Yeah, I think I just have to do this for the time being.
Wow.
It's a tempo play, but I need to see if I can't get myself back into the game. Find another way to interact with the Alcid. I kind of doubt that I even have a chance here, but
Okay.
yep, attack for one. Oh, this is a March of Swirling Mists. Oh, that's
It is.
gross. Yeah, that happens.
Okay, well, start off with the swing.
I will say that this isn't like. I mean, this is about as unwinnable as it's going to get for me. I'm pretty sure. Oh, interesting. My untapped isn't working.
Oh yeah, mine too. That happened last time we
Yeah,
played too.
it's weird. Um,
Yeah.
start getting in for 5. It's about as good as I'm gonna be able to do here. Yeah, unfortunately, this is exactly what I was talking about when I said I predicted this would be a very good matchup for you. You know, this is exactly the kind of game plan that the Spirits deck is not capable of playing through very effectively. Especially because, like, here, like, the Alciad's actually doing a lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just have to block the 6/6 and take the 2.
Yeah, the Ascendant Spirit though is
It is. I still have to think I have to attack with it, actually. I have to start, like, trying to
mhm.
outcard you, and then eventually I can take over and, like.
Oh, that's interesting. It has a built-in.
Yeah, it's a built-in Curious Obsession on it when you've got it at level 3. All right, that kills me. Interesting, yeah. So it's exactly the play we talked about, even.
Yeah.
Where you're just like, yep, phase out your guys and get you.
Okay. Hmm.
So I'm on the play. That actually impacts how this is going to work quite a bit.
Very interesting.
All right.
Very good.
I don't imagine there's much I can do to make this go any better. Oh, goodness.
Hmm. Okay. We'll go with that.
Alright, I mean, this is about as good as I can ask for.
This is. I think we have to mulligan. Oh my god. Mulligan from all lands to no lands.
Well, that is the variant swing you ask for when you play 20 lands, right?
That's true. This one's. fine.
But you also get the benefit of being able to keep 2 landers and basically play the entire game.
True.
It's the strength of decks like that. That was always the strength of the old heroic deck too. Whereas like you got to play for its standard an extremely low land count.
Okay. Well,
I'll see it.
let's see what we can do. Mausoleum Wanderer.
Trigger.
That
Pegasus.
is a beefy boy.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So I was actually forced to keep a 1-lander, so
Yeah, it was 1 lander on a hollowed fountain though. Like that's not bad.
yeah, it's not terrible, but also, 2 costs in the deck and all. Oof.
I still don't want that to ever be bigger than it is though.
Mm-hmm.
But
Okay,
here it looks like
so
I might just swiftly run you over.
yeah, I'm thinking that's going to be the case, unfortunately, for me.
Ledger Shredder wouldn't be bad here though.
It wouldn't be great either.
I could block and save some damage.
Yeah.
It's a legitimate business person.
Yep.
I do enjoy that it changes the name of that.
Yes. I mean, I do have the Ledger Shredder, but not entirely sure that saves me a turn, sure, but okay. So I think, yeah, that is where I want to be. Okay. Okay. So I want to Sentinel's Eyes.
Petty theft. Oh, there it is.
Excellent.
We'll let you connive.
Yeah.
Does it make a difference? Yeah. I think I'd rather.
I mean, yeah, I
Yeah.
can't pay it, so
Yeah. Well, it's like I was thinking. Like, if you have a land, I guess it
I mean,
technically makes a difference.
I did have a land, but I also don't have like anything to follow up with, so
Well, I mean, like you'd have like a. I suppose like yeah, you couldn't like make another like blocker, but like I think it's still correct just to like do that.
Mhm.
All right. Okay. I think being on the play is a big swinger in this matchup.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. This is really sketchy.
I think you can keep like 2 lands that like especially if one's a blue-white dual land.
Yeah. I mean that was the issue with that first
Mm.
hand I had there. It you know, did not have the ability. Ledger Shredder.
Ooh, got him with the mystical dispute,
Oh,
baby.
shoot.
I mean, Ledger Shredder. Have you seen like the decks that are playing it in Legacy now? It's crazy.
Besides all of them.
Well, it's actually not all of them. It's not that.
Yeah.
It's not like it's not to that point yet. But it is like, you know, like Uro decks are starting to play it.
Okay.
Because like Uro is like good to discard to it, but also like in that format, like if you go like turn 2 Shredder, turn 3 Uro, play a blue land,
Oh yeah.
and you just like get to like trigger the connive right away with like a ponder. This cuts you off of a card, or at least forces you to play another spell.
Yeah, I think I still want to play another spell, or do I?
Well, it's like
No,
yeah,
that's fine.
you get the scry, which I can't stop anyway, but you don't get to draw a card with the
Yeah.
Torrent Strike. So I think it's correct for me to Slike. Oh yeah. Now who's the Obsession deck?
Uh-oh.
I am the Obsession deck now.
Eh.
Would love to draw a card. I would love to just pass the turn.
Would you love to take the option to draw a card?
I love that it's a choice.
Yeah. All right. So we got another dispute for me.
Oh, this one's a Geist Light Snare.
Oh shoot.
I got you in the lock, baby.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh-oh. That was my only creature.
That is the weakness of that deck.
Yeah.
It's like,
for sure.
I think the Jeskai version, which gets to play like 20 creatures, kind of solves that problem a little bit, but like, not like so much so that like it's still not an issue, but like,
yeah,
you're playing, what is it, 16 creatures, and like a bunch of ways to defend them. So it's like, you know, it is going to happen some percentage of the time that you just don't have one, but it's especially pronounced in decks where it's like, you know, you have a bunch of stuff that you use to target your own creatures.
Mm-hmm.
Bing bong. Draw 2 cards. I think, nevertheless, I still think this is a good matchup. This is definitely better for the red-based.
Yeah. Okay.
Decks.
So I just drew another spell. So.
All right. Well, I have a Geist Light Snare anyway.
Yeah.
I had Snare into Spectral Sailor for that turn.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely an unfortunate showing. I do think that these heroic decks would tend to be favored here, because like in this blue list, there's 2 bounce spells, and they're both Petty Theft. So it's like, the fact is like, I had them, and you just didn't have the way to protect from it. As well as, like, we're not playing God's Willing, because it has, like that, this scenario where we're like, Lord forbid you have to give protection from blue, right? So, definitely unfortunate that it worked out that way, but I still think overall that you'd be a favorite deck in that matchup if we played it a bunch.
I got a pack of Alchemy Baldur's Gate from that, and I opened nothing.
You opened 1/6 of your wild card completion.
That's true. That's true.
That's the way I look at it. All right, Challenger deck versus wild card deck. So I picked a theme for the wild card decks this week. They are Pioneer decks that were recently written about on Channel Fireball that I have ported into Explore.
Okay, so I have learned that this is the type of hand. Okay. So
Pretty notable drawback on that card in this matchup. There it is, favorite hoplite.
Let's go.
Alright.
Let's go. Let's just let's do it.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
That's the wild and the cattle we had at home. Alright.
Oh my.
Ledger Shredder.
Yeah.
So, this deck was recently written about by Luis Scott Vargas. It is Dimir Midrange.
Ooh, okay.
Which is based off of Ledger Shredder. Key card that's missing from this deck in Explore is Treasure Cruise, unfortunately.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So...
Oh yeah, Ledger Shredder with Treasure Cruise, jeez.
Well, yeah, that's what the Phoenix decks do, so...
Yeah.
A little unfortunate how I'm going to have to sequence this, but...
I assume you have a second?
No, I just have a Spell Pierce.
Oh, okay. That works.
I actually think I keep this. Oh gosh, this is all bad. Yeah, I'm just gonna bin that. Heartless Act is really awkward against you.
Yeah.
Well, Ledger Shredder, you don't have any haste threats being blue-white, so my Shredders can pretty freely attack and chip in.
Yeah.
Oh no. That's what I get for discarding Heartless Act.
I mean, your shredder will always be bigger than mine, so.
That is true. Alright, we'll play Trespasser. Eat the Sentinel's Eyes, because I can.
Yeah. That seems like a good idea to me.
Yeah. Trespasser is such an impressive card. It is not a card that on its surface that you'd think would be like a staple of Pioneer, right? It'll always be bigger, he says.
Ooh. Wow. Okay.
Hey, worst
That
case scenario
is.
for me is you discard a Sentinel's Eyes. Like, you just like enchant this,
I mean, yeah. I'm
beat
trying
him.
to think here. Like, what do I do here? I. Uh.
I think that's reasonable.
Yeah.
Specifically because it's gonna have vigilance for the turn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can't block that. Plus, there's actually a thing that you should read into here is that if I had a removal spell, I probably would have killed this already.
Yeah.
Because and based off of me not killing it already, you can kind of infer that I just don't have it.
Ooh.
Yeah, new addition to the format, Kalidas.
Kali baby.
Yeah. One of the key cards to these black mid-range decks in Pioneer.
Trying to think here. If this is. I think we're just gonna go in.
Yeah, I just have to take this. I mean, you could have just killed me with bump spells, I guess, but like, Ledger Shredder is really good with Curious Obsession.
Yeah. As it turns out.
Gross, another Ledger Shredder. I guess like that's my attack. Right. Yeah, go like that. Eat the favorite
Yeah.
hoplite.
Mm-hmm. Gain a life. Kalitas will gain a life. Gain 3 life.
Yeah.
Okay.
2, 3. Get back. Trespasser. Play Trespasser. See,
Okay.
now I'm putting.
Okay.
My goal with this turn was I wanted to put you in a position where
Mm-hmm.
you would die on the crackback if you attack me with the 5/7.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think I've
So.
pretty successfully done that.
Okay.
Plus, the ward cost here is like protecting me
Yep.
a little bit. Like swirling mists would still be a savage beating here, but
Yeah. Swirling Mist would do it. Unfortunately, that is not gonna be something that's happening.
it's a lot of triggers.
Okay. So. That's a tough decision, but I think that has to be what happens. Okay, this can go. Yeah.
I'll see it. Okay.
So now. 1, 2.
And don't forget about my creature lands.
Yeah. Yeah.
Keep in mind, specifically Hive of the Eye Tyrant here.
Yeah, that's. Losing the Curious Obsession is unfortunate, though. Mm-hmm. Yep. Interesting.
Just have to pass it back. I'm still not in a position where I can attack you effectively.
Yeah. Hmm.
definitely is. It's a more interesting game than I thought it would be. This is what I mean when I say like decks like that. Like this deck's very similar to the Spirits deck and how it
Yeah.
like functions to a degree, and like I find it super interesting that like these like heavily interactive black decks are like not always the best way to attack the.
Oh, that sucks.
It's not like you have creature. You have one Alcia in your graveyard. Like,
Yeah.
why don't I? So I think it's time we start attacking.
I mean,
If you got a spell, I'm just gonna make you play it, basically.
yep.
Okay. That makes me less want to do the thing. Well, I should have played this as a land first. I was a fool. I still can't really attack, so.
Okay.
Oh, aren't I just dead?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I just give
Yeah,
this
just
protection from blue.
Yeah. Forgot that was a thing on that card. Yeah. That kills me. Yeah. Played a little too aggressive with my life total there.
Okay. Jeez.
Yeah, it was a slobber knocker.
I really like the God, what was that, like Soul Shatter or whatever it was?
Yeah, that card's really strong. I feel
Yeah.
like what's really awkward, right, is I kept a really fine like 7-card hand. It's only kind of like goose egg of a card was that I had Heartless Act as one of the removal spells I had drawn, which is like just
Yeah.
notably super bad against you.
Yeah.
I think
This is fine, and then maybe. No, we can't do that. This is gonna have to do.
I think that's all I want. Okay. Yeah, no, I really like these blue-black Shredder decks. Mostly because I like the turn 3 play of play a Shredder and then cast a Thoughtseize.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's one of the most underutilized plays that exists currently in Pioneer.
Okay. So, boop. There we go. Aha.
Ledger Shredder.
No.
Bird.
How could you?
RV Birdman. That's pretty strong.
Eh.
Too bad I have got about 0 patience for it though.
I mean, understandable.
I think Ledger Shredder is so we call it the blue Tarmogoyf a lot in testing because it functions very similar to Tarmogoyf, and then it's like this 2-drop that's like so ludicrously good that it's like kind of a joke. I can't block that. But like the fact its connivability is so ridiculously good.
Yeah.
Because like here, I'm sure you could have played more than one spell if you really.
Oh,
wanted
absolutely.
to. But you didn't specifically so that you didn't like get blown out by by the fact that I have Ledger Shredder. I'm actually interested in drawing that. Trespasser trigger.
Like, and I fully expect like you to you know, trigger your own Ledger Shredder, but if I'm making you do that, that's
You're making me do it and not giving it to me for free.
yes.
Because like if you keep triggering it, then I actually don't have the incentive to keep triggering it myself. Where I'll make some probably otherwise not so fun plays if I'm having to like force myself to trigger it, which isn't inherently a bad thing to be doing, but it is also, it can be rough.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay.
it's Kalida's
Yep.
time.
That's a good one. Oh, Mr. Kalitas. Okay.
Kalitas is so subtly good that it's crazy.
Okay. Unfortunately, I just don't have spells.
Well, creatures aren't terrible here.
No, they're not terrible.
Still just keep chipping in.
Yeah.
Alright, don't have a counter spell.
I mean, nope. Unfortunately
Ooh.
not. Ah, excellent. Thank you.
Brutal.
Okay. All right. So, here we go. We're just gonna... Oh, no! Ledger Shredder!
Oh no! Free value, baby. I'm gonna borrow this.
Oof. Oh, no! It's the 4/4 Ledger Shredder.
Ledger Shredder looking real good in black. Actually, I'm not interested in that one.
I will say Kalitas is a bit of a nombo with Scarab God, isn't it?
I mean, it makes zombies.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, yeah. There we go.
I mean, still, this was like a 5/5 that for an extra 4 mana made me a Ledger Shredder.
Yeah.
Albeit you're
Okay.
not triggering these Ledger Shredders. Neither am I. I'm down to 1 card, but still.
We're gonna give it to Mr. Hoplite here.
That's fair.
Because he got that scry.
That scry, it's valuable.
Excellent.
Brutal. Sure.
Yike.
Here, I'll fuel my own Ledger. I'll fuel my own Scarab God, thank you.
Oh.
Blitz.
Blitz,
Draw a card, discard a card. Draw a card, discard a card. Draw a card, discard a card.
Okay. That is... Yep.
You get to eat my underdog, but it was gonna die anyway, so.
Yeah. I'm at 1.
And
All right.
You're gonna die to the Scarab God trigger, to be fair.
Let's go. This is the point in the Yu-Gi-Oh episode where he top decks the favorite Hoplite and scoops. Okay.
Boom! Heart of the cards.
Heart of the cards, indeed. Oof. Okay.
Alright, I think on the draw, I go into these. Over these. Yeah.
I actually honestly don't believe... Actually... Okay.
So fun fact, this is a side note. I'll be going and playtesting Modern tomorrow, and one of the decks on the list of decks to playtest is where we took the 4-color Omnath deck and we put a Yurok in it.
Oh, okay.
And then that was it. That's how the sound changed. We put that and like some black, like an Endantha Triome and an Overgrown Tomb into the mana base, and I think like a Verdant Catacombs, and just like it triggers it more than once, right? So it has to be not terrible. I'll see it, sure.
All we had to do was add an extra color of mana.
Yeah, it's basically free. Fight is 1. Curious Obsession. Defiant Strike. I think I just take the fight as 1. It's kind of it's effectively a counter spell against me.
Yeah, that's true. I will take action, thank you.
Oh, I messed that up.
Oh, I got the sound glitch.
I do too. I've never had sun. You could pitch a blue spell if you want to 2-for-1 yourself.
Um,
I
I
left.
mean, it draws me cards though, so I kind of feel like that's fine.
Yeah, see, part of me was just hoping you didn't hit another blue card. Yeah. I think that is the correct play, more than you probably think it is.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I'm just gonna
Just going all in on this Alcyon.
just
I think here you attack first, in case you draw a
yeah,
protection
because I might
spell.
draw a protection spell. Yeah,
Yeah, it's like
yeah, absolutely.
it's a 4/3.
Yeah, I can sacrifice it to give it its self protection. Right? That's how that works.
I suppose based off of your protection spells, it's correct just to do this right now.
Yeah, I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't.
And you
get
could
it, so-
rebuild pretty quickly.
I mean, yeah, I got a hoplite, so
Hoplite and
Um,
Homestead Courage. If you have a Ledger Shredder,
I mean, I don't, but I would have played the Ledger Shredder first.
that's fair.
Okay, I mean, yeah.
Well, I mean, like, it's a card that you can keep around for if you top deck Ledger Shredder.
Yeah.
And I
For
think
sure.
you're almost at the point where I don't even think you play additional lands. I think you just hold them to discard to future Shredders.
Yeah.
You're just gonna continue with your beatdown plan, which I will say has felt quite effective.
Yeah. Okay. Give us the blue-black Titan.
the blue black Titan.
Yeah, give us the blue-black Titan.
One day. We were talking
Actually-
about that the other day on the way to an RCQ. Because, like, they said that they have more of them.
Yeah.
And they just didn't release them. Release the Titan cut.
Especially with these cycling lands, like they're in every color now, so oof. But I suspected that might happen.
I was suspecting you had a spell to protect it or something.
Nope. I mean, this is me on stream with you. You know I never draw anything but lands.
I think you're still in a good spot, though.
I am. I absolutely am.
Because I think I have the chump block. Yeah. Right? No, I could take 3 more. My life total is getting particularly low.
Would you like to activate Castle Lockline? Yeah, I don't.
Okay. Here I was thinking, like, if you had a protection spell, I'm just, like, shit out of luck. Because I have a
Right.
land to get the Hall of the Storm of Giants online, right? But it's, like, not...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think now I'm just in I need to get this game over with mode.
Yep. All right.
Because my hand has been not the greatest the last couple of turns.
If I could draw.
Like a creature, another favorite hoplite wouldn't be terrible here, but
Yeah, so I unfortunately drew like the one card in my deck that would not. The one like non-spell land card that wouldn't help is so if it was a Poppet Stitcher, this would have been great, but it was instead Saheeli Sublime Artificer. Which notably Homestead Courage says creature you control. So yeah.
that is unfortunate.
Yeah, I have 3 planes of fight as one and a Saheeli, so
Brutal.
was not 20 lands and I still draw almost half of them.
Yeah, no, that's rough. That's rough. I mean, it's the bad side of variance, but it is brutal that
Yeah.
it always seems to happen on camera.
Yeah.
And since it's arena, it's literally not fixed. Can't be. Alright, I gotta pack a Baldur's Gate now. What's in it?
All right.
Bad
what do
card,
we
bad
got?
card, especially bad card. Alright.
Uncommon wild card though. There you go.
Hey, that was worth it.
That was probably the best card in the
It definitely was. All right. Not a good showing so far, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, I know one game in the first match was bad mulliganing. And I did make some poor decisions in that last match, so some of it's coming down to me. Okay. I have a form of card selection right now. So that is you didn't introduce to the to our fine people at home the next deck.
Yes, we are playing Gandalf Control. So I say that because next year, when we get our Dungeons and Dragons set, we might actually just get a blue-white Gandalf. It'll be at least white. Honestly, I'm hoping we get a Gandalf the Grey that turns into Gandalf the White. Like a flip planeswalker or
Yeah.
a flip creature. But I just really want to be able to play actual factual Gandalf Control.
You want to play Eldminster?
Eleminster. I just want to play Dildo Swaggins. That's all I want to do. I don't think it's a big ask. Look at this guy with his snow spells on his own turn.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm coming for that pathway. Gonna float some mana. So
Oh,
you can crack a clue.
I mean, might as well, right? Actually, let's just crack the clue now.
I think
Actually,
you wait.
no. Oh no.
You let it
You
resolve.
wait. Yeah. Got to get that like 0.1%.
I think it's a bit more in your deck.
That's true. Oh yeah, because I only have 20 lands. That's true.
Yeah, so it's a smaller percentage of your deck, but any little bit counts in a deck like yours.
Yeah. All right, here we go. We did it.
Ah, gotcha. Cycle sensor. Huh.
All right. We got ourselves. I'm actually gonna play a 5th land.
Wow, look at this guy.
Yeah,
We should have just been playing 5-drops in that deck.
Yeah. Oh, cool. The top card of my deck was a land.
Hey, that's why the scry is so powerful.
Yeah, it's why it's here.
Oh shit, that's got vigilance from that. That's so good here.
Yeah.
For no reason. Don't worry about it.
I want another scry. It has nothing to do with the 2+1/+1 counters.
I mean that.
There we go. Perfect. Not a land. Instant top. The pause. Oh my gosh.
This is a March where X is 1.
It is March where X is 1. I like how it wanted to tab my other blue source.
It still has vigilance. Will it have vigilance when it comes back?
Oh my gosh. The turn never ended.
Yeah, as far as it's concerned. Yeah, it just has vigilance still.
Oh no. It doesn't on mine.
Oh, okay, it went away now. Alright. Upkeep, Fateful Absence. Kept that card on top, so it has to be something good. Alright, let the scry resolve.
Here we go.
Bibbidi boppity. Got him with the absorb, baby!
Gosh.
Blue-white control. Did you want to have fun? I didn't want you to have fun.
I mean, I know you don't. That is blue-white control. Let's see. I'm just gonna, we'll scry.
I mean, this is what makes Sentinel's Eye so powerful in that deck.
I think we actually have to bottom that. Unfortunately, I would like to keep it, but
Boom.
Oh.
with the 4-mode farewell.
Oh my gosh.
You just keep
Oh.
playing more creatures, though.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, gross.
I mean,
I
I'll just
think
get
you
this.
wait,
Okay. I mean, I probably should have, but
because you could
I'm.
give it vigilance and attack through a Wandering Emperor.
That's true.
Like, that vigilance is actually worth a lot, I feel like.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, well, now I'm scared, but I'm gonna pretend that you didn't say that.
Oh, yeah. No, get ready. This is going to be standard for the next year.
Yeah.
I'm actually ready for rotation. The second, they announced, by the way, the second regional championship will be standard.
Oh, okay.
And they announced the promos, and they all suck. Every one of them. So to put it in perspective, the current RCQ promos, the regional championship qualifier promos, are as follows. For participation, you get a Lava Spike. Not cool, but playable card, modern, makes sense. Top 8, just getting the top 8 gets you a Nykthos, Shrine to Nyx Pro Tour promo. First place gets a foil version of that promo. So,
I don't feel like attacking into Hall of the Storm Giants, so...
smart man. He's read the cards that I have on the battlefield. But, it's like...
a rare technique.
Yeah, the rare technique of reading the cards explains the cards. But, ultimately, it's just, like, the new ones... So, like, those promos are fantastic, right? Like, Nykthos is actually, like, a real card worth money to multiple players now.
Yeah, more than just the EDH crowd, which is where it started.
Exactly. Now it's worth something to Pioneer players. It's worth something to everybody, which is impressive. That's fair. That's the right decision.
No. And I will go right out and say that if this were the latter, I would just leave the match.
And it's understandable. Honestly, one of my biggest pet peeves about a format is when control is just way too good. Because I do think it is problematic when control decks are the best decks. I do think like you can have control decks exist in a healthy fashion. I don't think that's the like.
No. I'm not saying no control decks, but
it is more annoying when. Like, especially when you have ladder play. I think when you have tournament play, I think it's less pronounced there.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to your local F&M and you play, like, maybe, like, 10, we'll say 10 matches of standard or whatever format a week. Like, playing against a control deck can be, like, still, but, like, it's not, like, in the sense that, like, this is, like, the 8th time I've played against it. Because I've queued into so many matches this week. It's like, I'll play against this, like, once or twice. And you might even be excited to play against it because you had the challenge of trying to beat it. Where you don't really get that in this format at all.
Okay, so...
The funniest part is how bad these decks are against Rakdos.
My biggest issue with this hand is like... I think I'm going to keep it anyway. My biggest issue was the existence of Fateful Absence.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah, but I think it's still correct to.
I'll tell you a secret.
Yeah.
There's no Fateful Absences in these decks post board.
Oh yeah. Okay.
You should be more afraid of Portable Hole.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah, but like one of the things in the sideboard plan of this deck is like I'm gonna take out spot removal because like in that spot it would have been good, but like that's not a spot you're gonna give me most of the time. You're gonna like play a 1-drop or like wait a turn.
Yeah.
So definitely you have to like play a little more conservatively. Wow, that Sentinel's Eye is given vigilance. That's actually a really big deal here. Like the Wandering Emperor is like the best card in this deck. It's the reason this deck is actually good. Besides, like,
Wandering Emperor is a very good card, to be fair.
let me caveat that Wandering Emperor and Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, the Planeswalkers you play in this deck are, of course, what make it so good.
Wow.
I'll play around your protection spells. Does he phase it out still is the question.
Wow, just on the Sentinel's eyes.
Yeah, I was hoping to like get you to like cheese yourself and like use a protection spell when it doesn't matter. All right, you got the phasing.
I do not have the phasing. Then there you go. You got
So, yeah.
your Supreme Verdict.
Well, there's another play there that you could have made because like when you phase out a permanent, right? It still retains its auras.
Yeah.
So like you could have also like if you did have it like there I made a play where it's like I'm playing around dive down and specifically slip out the back. But since I saw March of Swirling Mists, like I'm also just like playing around that in a way. Yeah, you're going wide in a way that I don't appreciate. Also, Planeswalkers are surprisingly hard to deal with in this deck.
Yeah, I noticed. Like, you could obviously be playing something I didn't see, but I did not see Planeswalker removal outside of Teferi.
Fateful Absence, but...
Yeah, Fateful Absence. Oh, Fateful Absence is, Planeswalkers too?
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty good.
I think I can just do graveyards. Yeah, because you got that in your graveyard. Just exile.
Yeah. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, it's not ideal because you still have like the Saheeli, right? But like here, it's like now you've just like run out of, stuff. Actually, what am I doing? Time to get frisky.
Yeah. So.
Right, that's my answer to a Planeswalker. Smackety smack.
Yeah.
For 7.
That is definitely a thing that can be done.
Ooh, Shredder's strong though.
I would have killed for a 4th land. Not more than that, mind you, but a 4th land. Okay, look at that.
Ask and you shall receive.
Indeed.
This deck being good just reminds me of how happy I am that Teferi Time Raveler is banned in this format.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you kidding me? Playing Modern so much, I hate that card. Like, because it's everywhere.
Okay.
Oh, this is so gross.
Sure.
Like, it's Vigilance. That Vigilance is so good against me. Yeah, it's a 4/6.
Yep.
This thing.
Memory Deluge. Okay.
I think I just have to go for it here.
I mean, yeah. Unfortunately, didn't draw no phasing.
Yeah, I think that's an effect we could probably have more copies of in the 75. Like, I think you just play the, what's its name? Just, like, slip out the back. That would be the sideboard card, I feel like.
Yeah.
Where I do like the other one better, like, in the main deck specifically.
Oh, that was a mistake. Oh well. Mistakes happen. I mean, yeah, no creatures, but lands.
Boom. Memory Deluge. So do you have an answer to the flashback? Ooh, that's a strong card. Disdainful Stroke is an unsung card in this format. Well, it's like in this format especially, like 4 mana and 5 mana, like that's like a pretty important mana cost here.
Yeah.
Like, I think a lot of people don't realize how important those mana costs are in this format. So it's like, Disdainful Stroke actually has an alarming number of targets when you're playing a blue deck. Alright, I'm going to just flash in the Wandering.
Remember when I said out loud that I didn't need more than one land?
I do remember.
Yeah.
Alright,
Pepperidge Farm remembers.
another one. Wow. That's fair. I mean, you got
I mean, you still have this haul, but I gotta.
Well, now that
You
you
know.
only have one card in hand, it's like, now it's time just to close the game out.
Yeah. Can we?
Because like, I have you on a 3-turn clock.
Yeah.
Just like in general.
Mm-hmm.
Swinging. Alright. Now I've got you in Abyss mode, which kind of... Ooh, that's actually a really good card here.
The final hour. the
The Ledger Shredder.
the Ledger Shredder arrives at the 11th hour.
Oh yeah, right when he's needed.
Okay.
Birdman,
That's
money launderer
that
at law.
that is rough, but yeah.
Can we get a Ledger Shredder that's just like altered to be Sal Goodman?
I mean, I'd be down for that.
It's just like, it works perfectly, doesn't it? Alright, you ready for this? You just got anthologied.
Oh no.
Welcome to the new Explorer.
Uh-oh.
You can't be regenerated. Oh, never mind. I've always thought it had that text. It actually doesn't.
No, it just can't be.
Alright, another victim falls
Oof.
to the mighty Gauntlet.
Oof.
That is brutal. I do think there's a lot to like there. I do think ultimately the Jeskai deck's probably a little better.
Oh yeah,
I think it's better in the creature matchups because you have access to Reckless Rage, which is, by the way, if you Reckless Rage targeting your favorite hoplite, it prevents all damage that gets dealt to it.
Yep.
So it just has like an extra layer of synergy there, but it doesn't prevent the damage it deals to the opposing creature.
You also have the option of playing Dreadhorde Arcanist,
Yes.
and all your spells are one cost. So
I feel like at that point you don't play Ledger Shredder. I feel like you just go back to being Boros.
Yeah.
Because like the whole point with the Jeskai version is you get to play Ledger Shredder and Battlewise Hoplite, which to be fair is just a worse 10th District Legionnaire. 10th District Legionnaire is literally just Battlewise Hoplite, but with haste. Yes. And you get Soulscar Mage as another 1-drop. So you get to play 20 threats, 20 lands, 20 spells. And in that version, you get to play Ancestral Anger on top of Defiant Strike, which gives Trample as well as draws a card.
Which is huge.
And still works really well with Ledger Shredder because it counts the number of copies in the graveyard of itself. When it gives plus X, where X is 1 plus the number of Ancestral Angers in your graveyard.
Mm-hmm. So
I do think overall, maybe the Jeskai version might be the way to go. Definitely not as favorable on a budget, but you get 8 fast lands. Which makes makes the mana base just super fluid for this like super low curve deck. And I like the sideboard options that you get with like the Young Pyromancer and one mind like value package to like battle things out as a mid-range deck. But all right, do you want to continue playing the Gauntlet? You got 2 decks left in the Gauntlet here.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's just play through it.
Yeah, see, I'm given the option now if people's spirits have broken. I won't lie. When we had our guest Jarman on, Joffer, he took a hard. He went 2-3 against the Gauntlet with a mono green Stompy deck, and I think he'd be interested in taking it back through the Gauntlet given the close performance. All right, this hand is fantastic. So
this is acceptable.
So this deck is another deck that was recently written about on Channel Fireball and has been kind of showing up in Pioneer a bit. This is Abzan Greasefang.
Oh boy.
It is notably missing specifically Satyr Wayfinder.
Okay.
is the card that this deck has actually been missing
Yeah,
in Explorer.
that seems real good.
There are actual suitable replacements though.
I think I actually just
There's cards like Glow Spore Shaman that are extremely well, but there's also an old Anthology card in Grizzly
yeah,
Salvage that exists.
I figured Grizzly Salvage was coming. I just couldn't remember.
I didn't hit any vehicles with that, which is unfortunate, but I'm still going to play
Yeah.
the 4-3. Because it is a 4-3.
I mean, that is correct.
I mean, Homestead Courage is about to cave my fucking skull in, but like,
how did you know?
because I helped build this deck. Like, Homestead Courage is a disgusting card in these decks. Because, like, here it's, yeah, you just get to diversify the counters, you get the connive. So, like, this is probably going to be a 3-5, and this is a 3-4.
It's not, but only because
it's Sad Bird Hours. Oh, gross. It's still a 3-5. Can't even block.
Yep.
And they have Vigilance.
I would like to draw a card, thank you.
I'll play an Ithaka's Chariot.
Ooh, okay.
So this is the reason why the deck's ultimately landed in green.
Yeah,
because you could play Chariot and the Parhelion. So you have two. Like, Chariot's not as, like, devastating a hit as Parhelion, but a hasty Chariot is...
Yeah.
That's not nothing.
Okay, what do we... Alright, so let's just, I mean, this boy...
Yeah, it feels like you're just time to pump it up. Defiant Strike, such a good first... Oh, gross. Gross.
Yeah, that was,
That is nasty.
I mean, I also want you to have Vigilance.
That's fair. That seems perfectly within reason. What did I tell you? He's a 6-7 for 2. It's a Tarmogoyf.
Yep. Okay.
Oh, we're going to Chump Block City with the Zizka's Chariot.
Fair enough. I mean, yeah, you can always just bring it back, so...
Exactly. The Grease Fang can bring it back next turn anyway, so... And currently the Grease Fang's ability isn't bringing anything back, so it makes sense just to...
Yeah.
Just to do it. I don't think it's gonna matter in the end. So I'm just, like, steadily dying. This might matter, because if I can mill up Parhelion here, I think I'll be good, but... I notably did not mill a Parhelion, but I did hit something that can make me put a Parhelion in the graveyard.
Okay, okay. Oh yeah, look at that.
You're not the only conniving boy. She thinks it's a girl, but refeeds and form it.
Sure.
Boom. Parhelion 2.
Ooh, wow. Okay, okay.
I had it in my opener, so.
Gotcha. So before we pass to combat...
Oh god, you're gonna phase out my Grease Fang! It's so dirty! Alright. Pass the turn. Don't kill me, bro. That is pretty sick. Yeah, that is a lethal attacker.
Yep.
Again, I think this is another really good example of a deck that you get to, like, kind of beat up.
Mm-hmm.
This deck just being more of a combo deck where, like, your just proactive game plan is super effective.
Yeah, it is notable. I actually have no way of interacting with the graveyard, so...
Yeah, but I think you could just, like, kill me. I have to, like, turn 3 combo you, but you can, like, do things like phase out the Grease Fang.
Yeah.
And you just, like, attack me in that way. And I think that's, like, perfectly reasonable. Okay.
Actually think this is okay.
Now, these Abzan Grease Fang decks have been showing up in Pioneer, and they're about the same as every other Grease Fang deck, realistically, but they're just cool. People like them, and I also dig it quite a bit. Okay.
Oh, this hand is just the epitome of my life on camera. It is 5 planes, a glacial fortress, and a homestead.
It's wow, that's so brutal that a 20 land deck has had that many bad land draws.
This is a much better hand, and
Hey, there's no harm in mulliganing.
yeah, no, definitely not.
Trust me, 'cause with how much modern I play, you mulligan to 6 all of the time. I wasn't telecasting my play at all.
Glow Spore Shaman. Okay.
This is the replacement to
Okay. Sure.
to
Makes you hit your land drops too. So that's
yeah, it is strictly worse than the other option.
Oh, absolutely, but
Alright, I should have actually put the other land on top of my deck.
oh my gosh. No way.
Killed your thing. Didn't even know I had it.
Is that why you shocked in your land?
No way. The other thing I like about this version, especially with Glowspore Shaman, is it's just like a 3/1 attacker. Like,
I really like Sky Sovereign in these decks. I like it.
too.
I like it better than Parhelion, even if Parhelion is the better card.
Okay, Sentinel's Eyes. Damn, you just got a 4/4 out of nowhere.
Yeah. Notably, not 3, the amount of damage that Sky Sovereign deals.
Yeah, but the thing to keep in mind with Sky Sovereign in these decks is that when I bring it back with Greasefang, it actually is going to deal 6 total.
Yeah, so because it'll have haste. Okay, yeah. That makes sense. All right, well.
How fast do you want to see me triple block?
I drew a land for turn. There was a land on top. I drew a land off of Defiance Drake. I love it.
You just got moto bugged.
Yeah, for real.
Right. Of one mind me. Sorry.
You mean fight is one, right?
Yeah, fight is one.
Yep,
there it is.
Okay. So
I half expected it, but I just think I have to do this. I think I just have to go for it. And hope you just don't have the thing that just absolutely devastates me here. Oh. Yeah, I'm just gonna play the Isuka's Chariot.
I mean, that's entirely fair. I love that I scryed down a card that would pump Battlewise Hoplite with the idea that if I lost my Battlewise Hoplite, it would have, not been good. And then I drew the land.
Okay.
So, here we go.
It's unfortunate.
Okay, Glowspore Shaman. What do we got? Oh, there's 2 Parhelions. Witherbloom Command. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just really hoping to draw a Grizzly Salvage or that hits a Greasefang or a Greasefang itself. Pretty much in desperation mode, but notably, I want to point out that I feel like I've done. I don't think I can. I mill one less card with cards like Glowspore Shaman. Block City, population this guy. But I feel like this is a suitable replacement. All right.
No, I think so too. I think especially because the additional power makes it both a better blocker and a better attacker.
Oh, exactly. I feel like in my backup plan of chip in with the nerds, this is gonna do a lot more work than a Satyr Wayfinder will. I will say the ability, the land fetching ability, is just plain better. On say because it digs one more card deeper and puts the land in your hand.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The this deck seems to though have enough survivability where like, ooh, okay,
Hit the Grease
okay,
Fang.
excellent. All right,
Your
I
point
drew a
though.
land.
Which deck has
So,
enough survivability?
so your deck has enough survivability, right, that it can survive to the point uh, where it combos. Where I've played against a lot of these Grease Fang decks, and if they don't go off fast, they just kind of butter out. I don't know if
That's
that's been
fair.
your experience, but it has been mine.
Oh no, it definitely has been. All in all honesty, like especially like the Mardu Grease Fang from like early, like the early versions.
Yeah,
I definitely got that impression all the time from like, yeah, like this is powerful, but like if I don't do the thing, like I don't have a backup plan that was like
yeah,
reasonable. Besides like I guess Fable of the Mirror Breaker, right? Like that was like the best thing you could be doing.
yeah. So
And
I
like
drew another. I knew the creature, but notably it doesn't fly. So
so
we are done.
going to game 3. But yeah, I do like this deck. I think this is a reasonable deck choice. The sideboard is also quite interesting because like Unlicensed Hearse is also a vehicle, and it's like a really good
Oh
sideboard
yeah,
card. So it's like a little surprising. Like you could sort of like play through opposing like interaction with your hearse by just like buying it back, exiling 2 things right away, bouncing it back to your hand, and definitely not like where it's like infinitely going to like.
this is greedy. I'm just gonna say that right now.
I think you keep greedy hands,
I think I can keep greedy hands.
mostly because I have this.
Ah,
Got him. If you have
got
multiple
him.
creatures, it's still gonna be good. No, you don't have.
I did have multiple creatures, but one's 2 mana.
Ah, brutal. All right,
In response, Defiant Strike.
that's fair.
Ah, excellent. It's Battlewise Hoplite, so of course.
The best second land there ever was. Second main, get back the Rafine's. Rafine's Informant is also a pretty surprisingly good card.
Mm-hmm. I do. Oof, that's gonna be bad for me.
Yeah, we're gonna be.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's what I like to see.
Excellent. Excellent. Well.
These cantrips are so good.
Oh yeah.
You know, what's another deck that I think would really benefit from like Treasure Cruise is this deck. These heroic decks. Like I feel like the Jeskai heroic deck would jam like 2 to 3 Treasure Cruises in.
Mhm.
Just seems like a pretty natural fit. Attempt to Witherbloom command.
Witherbloom command.
Get him. Alright.
I do like Witherbloom command.
It is quite strong. Can still get in some damage, I guess.
Haha. Gain -1 life, lose a life.
Damn! That would be savage. Decline.
There. See, there we go. Excellent. Exactly what we needed here.
It's not bad.
No, it's definitely not bad.
It's a 3/4 with vigilance.
I'm not gonna knock it. It's just
Not what you were looking for sure.
it's not what I'm looking for. It's it is
I like the nerds in this deck feel reasonable. Okay, there you go. You hit your blue mana.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's just not going to deal with the oncoming storm, as it were.
I mean, I think we're at parity. Like, if I had a Grease Fang, I would have played it by now.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I think it's actually more important to me right now to get this
You know what I could also see doing with
card
this deck that
collection.
you're playing is playing Bant Heroic. I feel like there's
Oh
like
yeah.
that would be like another good way to add a dimension to these decks.
Ooh, Season of Growth, right?
Season of Growth. Also. Um. Also the what's its name? Dramoka's Command.
Oh yeah, for
It's
sure.
like, cause like that's like a targeting spell that like is also like a protection spell because it can prevent damage.
Yeah.
And it's also a way to deal with random enchantments, which is coming up more and more. And is becoming more relevant than it's ever been. And then on top of that, it's you could add like there's the targeting spell that gives trample. There's where it's like target creature gains trample, draw a card.
hmm
Um, there's a few others like fight spells that work really well in these decks.
I mean, you got the suppliers, obviously, but
Yeah, it's 2 chump blocks here.
yeah.
Mill myself for 6. About halfway through my deck, and I haven't seen a Grease Fang yet, so.
I mean,
Oh, there's
oh, there's a
one.
Grease Fang. You have a Can't Stay Away.
2 can't stay away. 3 can't stay
Three
away.
Can't Stay Aways.
I
Oh
basically
boy.
just drew infinite cards there.
Yeah,
Target Grease Fang.
you got it. It's, proceed to cry. I mean,
Yeah, I would recommend this deck to people who enjoy this style of gameplay. This feels like a reasonable deck choice given the. I mean, I do think like it's hard to justify playing a lot of graveyard centric decks in the current, even just Pioneer. Like I'm actually off of Is It Phoenix and Pioneer now
oh
because
yeah.
of how like aggressive the graveyard hate can be. Um, like to the point where it's like really it's hard to like play Treasure Cruise. The graveyard hate's so incidental.
Yeah, I'm trying to see here. Okay, you have another Parhelion and 2 Can't Stay Aways, so
Yeah,
exiling your Grease Fang doesn't actually do anything.
it does not. Plus, I just have 8 power in the air to begin with.
Yeah, I mean obviously there's that too. Yeah, even if I were to give myself protection, yeah, that's unfortunate. Yeah, okay, it's more stuff that's not gonna matter. Unfortunate.
Oof.
Yeah, I do like the Season of Growth idea, or
Ah,
just Bant in general,
yeah,
because
I think that'd be an interesting idea to try. Because, like, does that give us any additional creatures? I don't think that gives us additional threats.
I don't think so. I'll Scryfall it real quick, but I don't think so. Because we're looking for green. What do we have? Actually, I'll look for heroic. Why not? In that's explorer, right?
I don't think there is anything with heroic.
No, not an explorer. There isn't.
Yeah. So I think that'd be an idea. We could play the Gauntlet rank 1 match.
Yeah.
This would be the real test.
Oh
So
yeah,
we get
for
to
sure.
play against the boogeyman of the format, as it were. A friend of mine out in Minneapolis just picked up Rakdos midrange for Pioneer. I recommended it to him.
Okay. So you could play in explorer, though they are 2 costs. Ooh. Okay. I cannot keep that hand. I cannot keep that one either. I had good lands but bad cards, and I mulligan twice to 1 land each time.
Hmm.
Okay, there we go. This is fine. So 3 cards on the bottom. So here and here and here. Sure. Unfortunate, but still playable. So they are 2 costs, but you have Dragon's Guard Elite and Deep Root Champion.
Oh, that's right. Dragon's Guard Elite exists.
Yep.
That card is quite strong.
Yep. And it is better than Deep Root Champion. Like, so.
Oh, by a lot, yeah. Fable of the Mirrorbreaker, the current the other card that's just a multi-format all-star.
Quirion Dryad. Eh. I mean, it's not. I mean, it's another when you cast a spell, but it also triggers off of creatures, that one. So
Okay, that's interesting.
yeah, no. See, even my first hand, if I had kept the 7, it would not have played well against what you have going on here.
It's the rock.
Yeah, I can't, because even if I connive away, this, I'm only going to be a 3. Chandra can just kill it.
Yeah.
Oof. I honestly, I would have to draw exactly a favored hoplite here for any of this to matter. Okay, it is an island. We're just gonna.
That's fair. Well, I'm gonna start like making copies of Trespasser,
Yeah.
and if you don't play a spell, the Trespasser is gonna get huge.
Yeah, I mean, and it is important, chat, to remember when to know when to concede. Like,
it is very important. Yes.
Okay.
It's also healthy.
Yeah.
Because I think it's a thing that a lot of people will sit through games that are very clearly already over, and like I just don't think that's good for your mental health.
No, absolutely not. It's you're just making yourself miserable, and
there's no reason to do it.
We have both done that. We're speaking from experience.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like, yeah, this is not like a thing that you should subject yourself to when you don't have to. Like, it's one thing if it's game 3 and you're in a comp REL or pro REL tournament. It's like, yeah, you're gonna play it out because like it's better.
Oh yeah, yeah, you're like in the 10th round. You're on the bubble. If you win, you're in. Like,
you're not gonna just roll over and die. Like,
no, I'm gonna play that every time.
Exactly.
But especially
especially if it's on camera.
Yeah.
Get that screen time, baby.
Jeez. All right. Well, if it's gonna, I have to decide. I have a playable hand here, provided I survive, and I'm going first. It's doing that one land thing. Oh, that was no lands. Perfect.
Grody.
Excellent.
It's really a solid showing against the best deck in the format. Just
yeah, I
rolled to 4 twice against the Thoughtseize deck.
Yeah, no, I'm doing pretty good. I'm pretty happy with my performance here. I made the smart choice, mulliganing a bad hand, and then Arena punished me for it. So I'm feeling pretty happy about where I am right now.
I think you made the respectable and correct decision. You made a disciplined mulligan, and just because you got punished doesn't mean it wasn't right.
No, it was it was right. Just because I was punished doesn't mean it was wrong.
Exactly. It's an important lesson to remember when you mulligan and it doesn't pay off. Like, that doesn't necessarily mean your mulligan decision was wrong. It just means, this time it didn't work out.
Yeah, the magic gods.
Exactly. Not chump block?
I mean, no, because it doesn't kill the Blood Tithe Harvester, even if you're going... Okay.
I said chump block.
You in fact did. You in fact did.
I know what I said. I didn't say trade. You never blocked there. There's no reason to. Rose gets to connive and fill his hand back up for a bit. And it has vigilance? That's disgusting.
Hey! Oh, look at that. Look at... Boom.
I mean, this is how you make the comeback, right?
Yeah. Against the removal deck.
I mean, like if I have to have the removal. Like,
That's true. That's true.
like it's not a given that I just like have removal. Although this might be a giveaway.
I mean, it kind of is. But I mean, I don't want you to keep that, so it's.
I mean, yeah, I could just be like getting the soul read on you. It's like, I'll take that. Alright, you are gonna get the Milla card though, so congratulations.
Excellent. I definitely didn't. I definitely didn't need a creature.
Not at
Nope.
all. You definitely. I agree. You definitely did not need a creature.
You know what I did need? This Hallowed Fountain.
That's so dirty. I'm just gonna. Don't mind me. I'm gonna just discard a Kroxa to this blood token.
Seems good.
It's a completely reasonable play.
It absolutely
How
is.
good? Fable is just so good. It's honestly
Yeah.
like, I feel like if you wanted to brew in this format, you probably should just start with like cards like Fable and Shredder.
Excellent. Okay.
Okay.
All right. All right.
Very predictably,
Yeah. So, and I mean, you can just.
you're dead.
Copy-
Like, you have no.
Yeah. No. Because you can. Well, no. You don't even need to copy the croak, so you can just attack with it.
It also can't copy legendary creatures.
Oh, it can't.
Target
okay.
non-legend, yeah. But you're dead. I have 11 damage. And the Hive.
All right.
You don't have a card to discard, so. Hell yeah, brother. Give it vigilance.
There you go.
Alright, well.
This is where I'm gonna like play some like Panglacial Worm from my deck.
Gotta be sure you. Just being sure damage can't be prevented.
Yep. Very important.
Very important. Gotta edge out those like corner cases.
Mhm.
Alright, I'm gonna be honest, you Drabby Noobs. The solid 05 with the blue-white heroic deck, unfortunately. I do think there's a lot to like.
Yes, and I also believe that it isn't 05 as far as matches go, but I didn't drop every game. I got games on the board, and again, we did this on our budget.
We actually did instinctually build a budget battle deck when we built the deck upgrade.
And I honestly believe the fact that we built this on the budget, and it was still able to get games off against like even the not even just the wild cards, like some of the actual like top 3 it got games against. We obviously didn't see any real games against Rakdos. I think Rakdos has enough staying power and enough removal that it would end up winning out against the Azorius.
Well, like, if the
anyway.
game goes long, it's just in Rakdos' court.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I think. I think Rakdos has enough tools to make the game go long against a deck like this, and then, that's its territory.
Yeah.
So,
I would agree with that statement.
Yeah, I think it was a foregone. I think that match was a foregone conclusion. Like, bad mulligans aside.
All right, so we talked a little bit about how to upgrade this deck, right?
Yes.
So we talked about going Bant. So I think a few things. I do like the idea of a Dragon's Guard Elite. 2 reasons. One, it triggers every time you cast an instant or sorcery. It gets a counter. So it is just like another Battle-Wise Hoplite. And it's also got a mana sink ability for us, and it's being able to double its power.
Yeah.
Or double the number of 1/1 counters on it, rather.
Yeah, which you're gonna get every time you cast. So.
Yes. So I think it would be an interesting card. It would probably replace the Illuminator. I still think it'd be a 2-of because it is our splash color. So we're not we want to be very careful with how we play that. So what were the other green cards we talked about? I know there was the
we mentioned Season of Growth, which would it scries every time a creature enters the battlefield under your control, and whenever you cast a spell that targets a creature you control, you draw a card. Just cast, like it doesn't need to resolve or anything.
I think this might be a good way to play this deck. Would be to go with this. I also think that we can actually move back from the enchantments to playing more of the like the God's Willings.
Yeah.
I think that would be at least in this version definitely the correct decision to be doing. So like we can play God's Willing, Defiant Strike, still one of the better options given that it draws a card
Yeah, and it would draw two
with
with
Season Growth.
season growth. Yeah.
Were there any other creatures we could play at all?
So there were a couple other creatures, but I don't want to fill up like the 2 slot. They were all in the 2 slot or above.
Mm,
You know, like
okay,
there was like the Quirion Dryad, which whenever you cast a non-green spell, it gets a +1/+1 counter.
sure,
Um, the Deeproot Champion, which is just a worse version of Dragon's Guard Elite.
sure.
Um,
One thing I was
yeah,
also thinking, is there an argument to make this a base green-white deck that splashes the blue for Shredder?
interesting.
And then, like, you Battle-Wise Hoplites the 2 of? I feel like
Ye-
that's a possibility, right?
that is a possibility because there are a decent number of
Well, you could...
there there are a decent number of green like instants and that
So, like, a few that came to mind, Snakeskin Veil.
yeah
Just, like,
because it already gives a
another
counter.
God's Willing-esque effect, right?
Yep.
And then also, like, Charge Through is an option. Where it
Oh
gives
yeah.
trample to the target.
Yep. And you would draw. Yeah.
The other thing is that if we go more green, we can support even a card like Shaper's Sanctuary in the sideboard, which I think is I think that's like a key to beating up decks like Rakdos, is you just bring in something like that turns their spot removal around on them. And I think that's
Yeah.
a really good place to at least start with a sideboard like this. Just thinking about like Blossoming Defense is an option.
Yep.
I'm not sure if it's
Cameo.
Tameo Safekeeping.
Cameo safekeeping because it gives indestructible as opposed to hexproof. So it's
I think
good against.
that would be probably more of a sideboard card, though, right?
Yeah, no, I agree, but it's definitely something we should consider.
Well, I think couldn't you also just play Heroic Intervention though on your sideboard?
I suppose that would protect your entire board, but
Yeah.
how often are we trying to get a whole board?
That's true. Well, we usually have like 2 creatures, I would say, especially with Ledger Shredder. Like, I feel like if you're a normal heroic deck, like without Ledger Shredder, you're probably just like, Voltroning your opponent. But like with Ledger Shredder, you're kind of actively incentivized to have like this plus a thing you're targeting.
Okay.
Yeah. And also with Dragon's Guard Elite, because like the Elite is very similar to the heroic creatures, but it doesn't have to be the target of the instant or sorcery.
Yes.
So
Yeah, that's true.
So maybe like that incentivizes us to be playing like 2 creatures out because we have just 2 things that get bigger just by us casting the spells versus having to be the specific targets. All right, but I do think all those green 1-drops have a solid argument as far as ability. I do think the default 12 targeting spells, Defiant Strike, God's Willing, Homestead, Courage. I think those are all phenomenal cards. That synergize exceptionally well with what we're doing here. So and then I think the other thing we can look at are like if there's any other like target creature effects that kind of do anything. There's
Target creature you control. Probably gonna make this an instant or sorcery.
could like Prey Upon or other fight spells or punch spells could be strong.
We also mentioned Dive Down at some point. We're still in blue, but it's just a splash.
I feel like you can't play any of the 1-mana things off of your splash color as much.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that we couldn't cast it, but like we could also just like play Wild Shape, right? Like it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Except it could also give Trample, so maybe Wild Shape is good. Cause like it would like change the base power and toughness, which doesn't impact the 1/1 counters on any of these things.
No, that's true, and it can give it hexproof, trample.
I mean, that's like the stock 4 of.
Yeah.
Where it's just like it does everything. And like for a lot of these things, like other than like Dragon's Guard Elite and Battle-Wise Hoplite, like it doesn't downgrade anything when you give it hexproof.
No, it doesn't.
Like Hoplite and Shredder. So yeah, I really like that actually. And then I do think it's probably, as far as main deck protection spells go, I think it's Snakeskin Veil is probably the best one.
Okay.
Like it's
Makes
like the
sense.
perfect middle ground between like God's Willing and like an actual pump spell. And I think in our sideboard, I do think the idea of like, I think a mix of like Heroic Intervention and Tameo Safekeeping is probably correct. Like 4 copies total, but a mix. Because you can also bring Safekeeping in against like a mono red aggro deck, right? Where it's like,
Yeah.
it's not only buffering your life total in the race, it's also like countering a spell, or like you can like block, and then if they try to like, burn it, kill it, you can like give it the indestructible. Like it just puts you in a really good position, especially when we start doing vigilance stuff at any point.
I gotta see here real quick. I'm wondering. I'm seeing a lot of these good green options that
Mm-hmm.
we've come up with, and I can't help but wonder. Maybe instead of Bantha should be Naya,
I could definitely see that, right?
because you get all the good red cards that you were missing, and then you add the protection spells from green.
Sure. So my big thing though is, what's your base colors? Because I
Okay,
think the
sure.
big consideration is, I think in that deck, if we had Razor Verge Thicket, I would be more
Okay,
willing to go Naya.
okay,
Now,
that makes
arguably,
sense.
that also could be said about Bant, but I think what I
Hmm.
like the most here is that this deck's never gonna run out of cards. Is the idea? Ledger
Yes.
Shredder, getting rid of excess lands and things like that, and the Scry on the Battlewise Hoplite doing the same, I think is actually super valuable.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I think we just played the third and fourth Battlewise Hoplite just so we have 16 threats.
Yeah, we're gonna need those threats, especially if we come up against early removal.
Yeah, and then I think that puts us at 38 spells, creatures and spells. I feel like we can still trim this to like maybe 20 lands
Okay, yeah.
pretty reasonably. And I think what we do is we'll start with. So one thing I want to avoid is the blue-green pathway,
Hmm.
specifically because it can't cast the Battlewise Hoplite.
Yep.
But I do want to play like, I think we can play Botanical Sanctum, and
Okay.
then we can play Temple Garden is clearly our best land. It enters the battlefield untapped. It can it can shock in to be what we whatever we need it to be. And I feel like what we're gonna do in a lot of these games is just end up trying to, like, we're probably gonna disregard our own life total quite a bit,
Hmm.
given just sort of the kind of nature of what we're like. We're very much an aggro deck, right?
Yes.
Um, so like we could just play more shock lands than anything,
Hmm.
and that should be just fine. Like I feel like we probably go like 4 fountains, 4 gardens, 2 breeding pools because we have the 4 botanical sanctum. Like that's like the start of the mana base. And then I feel like from a basic land count standpoint, we probably start with, it's probably like 3 plains, 2 forests, and an island. Maybe not even the forests actually. Maybe those are just bark channel pathways. We just 2 plains, 2 islands. Okay. I think we can go with a pretty predominant pathway base, mana base. Like 2 branch loft pathway, 2 bark channel path. Actually, I don't even think it's bark channel pathway. It's probably like 3 branch loft and then 2 henge gates. I like that. So yeah, I should probably be sharing my screen with you, by the way.
I'm watching. No worries.
Yeah, but this way you don't have a delay.
Fair enough.
So this is what I've put together. Ignoring the sideboard for now. It's like,
Oh, watch stream. Okay.
yeah.
It didn't do it automatically. 3 branch sloth, 2 henge. So there's no bark channel in there, right? You decided.
Yeah. Because we have Botanical Sanctum, which I
Mhm.
feel like in such a low land count deck is just strictly better than the pathway.
Sure.
Like if we had access to all. By the way, fun fact with the
Is
scars.
that
fast
19 lands?
Is it? Technically it says 22.
Oh, what am I missing? I'm missing something. Oh, I'm missing the white blue one.
2, 3, 7, 9, 12,
And then
16,
I only
20.
have. Okay, there we go.
Oh,
So yeah,
I miscounted then. I swear I put I was doing 20 lands. I think 22 is still fine, especially with the Ledger Shredder.
Oh yeah, for
Like we're
sure.
gonna be scrying and drawing a lot of cards, and if we can connive as well, I think that's really good. Yeah, I think this is a pretty straightforward deck, and I think like you could like definitely mix up the spells here. Like I feel like you could make just as many arguments for Blossoming Defense as you could over Snakeskin Veil, because like it's more aggressive for sure.
Yeah.
Where the Snakeskin Veil is better on the defense, but also still just fine on offense. But I like what we got here. Like
Yeah.
I think my favorite spot with this deck would probably be like where I have Season of Growth and like I could get like my Homestead Courage draws 2 cards, right?
Yeah.
So this feels like a reasonable direction to take the deck. And then from a sideboard perspective, I really like Shaper Sanctuary. It's especially brutal in decks like this, where like if your opponent targets a thing with a spot removal spell, because they just sort of like I have to do it, and then
Yep.
you draw a card, and then you play a protection spell. It's like you just 0 for 1 to your opponent.
Oh yeah.
Like that's a
Massive.
huge deal against decks that are playing a lot of spot removal. And then like the intervention and safekeeping, just insulating us against the sweepers, like these being effective counters to Supreme Verdict. I think some other options that we could go for in a deck like this, probably, so like we got, what is it, 5, 7, 11, as many as 13 blue sources. I still think we could get away with Mystical Dispute, where we just like change our play pattern a little bit, because like Mono Blue Spirits is a deck that exists, and this is just so powerful against them that I think I like just having access to it. And like another deck that's also around is the Mono Red Aggro deck, and I think this card is incredibly powerful against them. Stramoka's Command is it can counter a burn spell. It can make do a fight, which triggers heroic, which is strong. Or you can just like put a counter on something and fight. You can also randomly pop enchantment creatures, which is quite relevant against them with their annexes. So I think all around just a lot of very powerful effects. And then I'm not really sure what else would we want. Probably some form of graveyard hate. And I'd still have to guess that Unlicensed Hearse is probably just the best thing you can be doing, right?
I mean, I would imagine so.
Yeah. I could also see, like, maybe trimming a Tamiyo safekeeping. Thinking about some other considerations where we could play... I lost my train of thought here really bad. Actually, I don't even think we want to go in that direction. I think it is just a... Because, like, there's other directions we could go where we also play some, like, form of, like, some actual removal in the sideboard, but I actually don't think that's entirely necessary. Just given the, I think our plan here is to, like, go over the top of other aggro decks, where it's just
going big.
Well, we make a big thing, we give it trample, we trample over our opponent, and the game ends.
Yeah.
Like, all right, I like where we ended up with this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be interested in running this back through the Gauntlet. I'd also even like, because this was one I was playing a little bit off stream just to try it out. This is the Jeskai list I ended up with. Where this one's got a bit more of a dense as far as creatures go. This one's got 20, which I don't necessarily think is inherently correct. But you get the 8 cantrips, 4 removal spells. The Homestead Courage again, just really good with Ledger Shredder, and then just Fight is 1. Sometimes it protects 2 things. A lot of the times it just protects 1 thing, but that's perfectly fine. And then the real strength of this version is, of course, it has 8 fast lands, which is definitely what gravitates people towards it.
Oh yeah, for
But
sure.
interestingly, did you hear the design stuff about Dominaria United and the upcoming?
I saw a little bit of it. I didn't
So
necessarily hear a whole lot.
there's a specific thing that's notable is that the 2 sets after the Brothers War are using the same code name scheming as Dominaria United and the Brothers War did.
Oh,
So from what it sounds like is that we're gonna basically have a 4-set block for Dominaria United and its story.
okay.
The other thing that came up recently, and this was in the Mark Rosewater's like design article that he does every year, was
Yep.
that he regrets the 1-set block design based off of sets from this last year.
Whoa.
He
Okay.
arrived at the same conclusion that we did, that places like sets like Kamigawa could have easily been 2 blocks. They designed enough mechanics for 2 sets and cut a bunch of them because they only had 1 set to do things like
Yeah.
Kamigawa. They also feel like not having a second Kamigawa set made the first one less special because we didn't get to spend as much time on Kamigawa
I
and really take it all in. So hopefully that means we might be getting more often where we design a 2-set block. I don't mind if the draft experience is still isolated to an individual set. But like just having 2 Kamigawa sets would have been a boatload of fun. I feel like.
Oh yeah, and that is good to hear. I'll have to read through it because I know a lot of criticism that came from those reports would always be like, "Oh, well, we sold a bunch." Well,
Well, it's good
maybe
to know
that's
that
not.
creatively and internally, that's not how Rosewater feels, at least.
Yes, that's very important to know that like the guy at the helm is, you know, hasn't lost touch, I guess.
At least not entirely. But yeah, it was also exciting to read that he had spoken a little bit about how card design is no longer really geared towards standard because the majority of players don't play standard,
Hmm.
which I thought was
Yeah, it's
interesting. Magic is an eternal game, is what I believe the phrase was. And
yeah.
most players like look at me for example. I play Modern and Pioneer when I play for fun, right? I don't play Standard for fun. I would if Standard was like something that was interesting for a long period of time. But the problem is since the introduction of Arena, especially, Standard goes from this new wild experience to solved in about a week from set release on Arena because like everything just gets solved so quickly, and sometimes you get some innovation that happens a few weeks in or a few even a month or two in, but it's like it still all inevitably gets stale for good chunks of time. Where older formats, even like Modern, is pretty stale right now, which is actually surprising. Like that they haven't done anything to the format given the presence of the 4 color decks, but like it's ultimately comes down to like Magic, like most players will choose to engage with the game in a thing that isn't standard, as well as they've proven that standard isn't really needed to sell product. Meaning,
No.
it should exist for organized play, and it should still be fun and enjoyable. But like, we could definitely dial the power level up a little bit, so
Mhm.
that cards can like say find a home in Pioneer. Like, I think they've hit their mark really well. Like Ledger Shredder is like a really powerful card. It's arguably one of the best creatures in Magic right now. And it's not like so ridiculously overpowered that it's like dominating, but it's just a good card.
Yeah, no, and it's it's been a long time since we've had a creature like that where it's just a good card, but it's not like insane.
Yeah, well, I think Ragavan is the closest thing we've had, where it's
Okay.
like Ragavan in Modern is a nuts card and will take over games. Ragavan in Legacy was way too good and actually had to be banned, but um, I think that's what makes it not quite the influence of Ledger Shredder, where it's like where Ragavan was like fine for the target format, which was Modern. It was targeted at Modern, and it just happened to be much better in Legacy given the dynamics of that format. But like Ledger Shredder is seeing play in literally every format, from vintage to standard, and it does the exact thing it was intended to do, and it just so happens that it scales into older formats given how it was templated. Because it's like, if I just play this and then I play a Black Lotus, I get to connive, and that's super
Oh
powerful.
my god, yeah.
Like,
Yep.
or like I play this and I play a bauble effect, Mishra's bauble, or in Legacy sometimes Urza's bauble, and that's just, again, that triggers. Or like, if I play it and it lands on the battlefield and I have a counter fight with my opponent where I like daze, or like if I play and they attempt to kill and I daze the spell, I get to connive. Like,
Yeah.
like there's a lot of like super cool sequences, and it just so happens to fit in like every format. And I really like that happened. There's other creatures. There's other cards like Fable of the Mirror Breakers, another one that I feel like, because it's getting played as far back as Legacy now too. Because like the mono red prison deck plays it, and sometimes the mono red painter deck plays it as well. Because it's just a good card, and it's like a 3-drop is getting played in older formats. That's insane. Like, that card's, it's one of the best cards in Standard, and if you don't own 4 copies, if you plan on playing Paper Standard next after rotation, you should get them now, before they get more expensive. Same with Wandering Emperors, but like it's a cornerstone of Pioneer. It's forging new powerful versions of existing archetypes in Modern, and it's even seeing some fringe play, albeit, but it's seeing play in Legacy, where like its modes are all like reasonably power. 3 mana to get a 2/2 body that's super weak to pretty much every kind of removal because you're tapped down when you do it. Into this like Rummage 2, which doesn't gain you cards necessarily. It just filters cards out of your hand. And matter of fact, a lot of the time you don't even necessarily draw 2. You discard 1 to draw 1, or you discard 0, and that it's super vulnerable 2/2 backside that can't activate right away. But it's like it does just enough of everything.
Yeah.
It's like, and like Brazen Borrower is a perfect example of that as well, where it's like all the effects on this card are like not good individually, but when all together, they're greater than the sum of their parts.
Yeah, and we've had a couple of cards like that haven't hit the mark. I think most notably, Reckoner Bankbuster was one of those cards that was just like, oh, it's a creature, and it creates creatures, and it draws you cards.
It's almost good enough.
Almost good enough, but everything, it's
probably good in Standard. It was good in Standard for a bit, and it might continue to be good in Standard post-rotation, but it's not anywhere close to what you should be doing in, like, Pioneer, or Modern, or anywhere that isn't Standard.
Pretty much, unless you're playing specifically like a vehicle deck.
Yeah, like a Greasefang deck might consider that as a sideboard option.
Yeah.
Or like even like if they want to go like Esper Greasefang, I should say, does play that in Pioneer sometimes, but like it's not by any means a staple, right? No. Or like in that deck, Ledger Shredder is an absolute powerhouse. So like that's a perfect example. I think like Omnath, does that, but like in the worst ways. I think I think Omnath's an example of like it's definitely greater than the sum of its parts, but like the sum of its parts is also just way too high. Because like it is just too good. Uro is probably another perfect example of that. Where like Kroxa, I feel like, is a good example of a creature that sees play in multiple formats and like was just the right power level, right?
Yeah, I think the issue with these cards that go over the top and are too good, Uro and Omnath, like we've talked about, is that they're all one card and they can all happen on the same turn. I think what makes things like Fable so good is that they're spaced out over turns. You can judge it based on, okay, well, this 3 mana for a 2/2 creature that attacks and makes a treasure is still okay. It's not great. If that's all it did, it would probably maybe see play, most likely not. But then it has this extended value over time, which is a thing that is sometimes hard to analyze. I think even if you're designing a card,
Yeah.
you might look at it and say, okay, well, I don't necessarily see the full value of
Hmm.
this. I think one of those, it doesn't see. I mean, it's not in standard anymore, um, and it saw very little play when it was in standard, primarily because it was so expensive. Was the saga that brings back a creature and makes them discard a card? I
The
forget.
Eldest Reborn.
Eldest
Yeah,
Reborn,
it
yeah.
saw like
So
sideboard play in like the Rakdos decks at the time.
yeah, so yeah, and that is because it was an uncommon that cost 5 mana.
Hmm.
Um,
Like
you
that's a
reduced,
perfect example of like, yeah, at its face value, that card doesn't look very impressive, but like in
yeah,
actuality, it is a fucking powerhouse of a
yes,
card.
yeah, and if you're playing in a deck that can like get it out early or reduce its value in some way to make it so you play it in conjunction with another card,
Or it was like
it's
in that standard, it was played like you're trading all these 1-for-1 turns,
yeah,
and then you just like that's your last thing that you do, which
yep,
like kills a creature. They discard a card if they even have one, and then you get like a planeswalker back. Like
yeah, and
it's
it
just
was.
like it was like perfect in the context of like those mirror matches that you played a lot in those Rakdos
Oh
the
yeah,
red and
that
black
is
decks.
that is definitely a card like does that designed for standard, designed for not the eternal format.
Yes.
It fit
It
in the
does
decks
actually
that it.
see some play in Pioneer.
Okay, yeah, no, it definitely.
Occasional sideboard spot.
Yeah, it definitely fit in the decks that it needed to fit in. It was
Hmm.
costed just right. I think even at 4 mana, it might have been a little overbearing. I think 5 was the right number.
I think for
Um,
standard, yeah. I think at 4 would have felt like it would have been like a 4 of index, like in
yeah,
the main deck.
it's.
Where like at 5 with the easy to splash cost, like
Mhm.
super reasonable card. That was just happened to be really really good in the context of very specific matchups, which happened to be the most popular matchup as well in that format.
Yeah, I will note. I did start skimming this. About the highlights of overall Magic design. Now he was specifically talking about this past year,
Hmm.
right?
Yes.
But we're kind of we've seen it over the past few years, and he says we've pushed the boundaries of what Magic can do. And if you had asked me 10 years ago, would we do the stuff that we did this year or even the past couple years, I would say no. That's insane. Why would you think I'd ever do that stuff?
Hmm.
Um, yeah, that is. I
I
think
would
that's
agree
it.
with that. That's a
I think.
perfect way to look at it because I agree. Like 10 years ago, there's a lot of cards that exist now. Like even just like vehicles. Like vehicles are
Yeah.
such a leap forward for artifacts. Uh,
Mhm.
and like that changed the very dynamic of that super type in
Oh
general. Because
yeah.
now, like it just from a design standpoint, we get vehicles pretty much in every set, or at least most sets.
Well, yeah, and
Because it's just
that
like
was something that was made evergreen because it just makes sense. Like people are gonna have vehicles. They had vehicles as equipment for the longest time, and like Theros and stuff.
yeah, like chariots and things like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just like makes perfect sense that we do this thing that like we have this vehicle. I love that was a thing that they pushed forward. But like then you skip a little ahead. We have like Urza's Saga is like a really good example of like this is so not how they design land cards these days. Where it's
No.
like it's a land that gets rid of itself at some point. Like that's kind of goes against a lot of that part of it alone goes against it. But it's another card that's very similar to Fable, where it was just like on its
Yeah.
face, it's like it doesn't seem as good as it is.
Yeah.
Especially because I remember at first people were super hesitant to play it. I know
Hmm.
my first impression of it, and this is actually ultimately where it's ended up, is that I was like, oh, this is just gonna go straight into Amulet Titan in Modern, because like it just guarantees a turn 3 Amulet, while
Yeah.
also casting a turn 1 Amulet. Can also realistically not have to sacrifice it because you could bounce it back to your hand with a Rue land or whatever. So it's just like, yeah, like that's a perfect example of like that's a pushed design.
Yeah.
They very much like they made a land that's also an enchantment, that's also a saga, and it's like asked a lot of questions. Dress Down is another card that I feel like pushes the
No. Yeah.
boundaries because it's like the way Dress Down interacts with like with like Magus of the Moon and Dryad of the Elysian Grove. It's just like so unintuitive to Magic,
Yeah.
like at face value, because like it doesn't take away the part where it changes all the land non-basics to mountains or changes all the lands to every basic land type. Like, but like that's a thing is like they clearly whoever designed that card I think understood that about the rules.
Yeah.
Because I think that's like, especially in MH2, there's a lot of cards. They had a lot of really good people designing cards.
Oh
And
yeah,
I
absolutely.
kind of wish they'd bring some of them in full time.
Well, I think
Like
they.
Patrick Sullivan, especially, because he designed Ragavan and Dragon's Rage Chandler. And
I
I
think
think he's.
they also had a lot of good flavor.
Oh, yeah.
Urza's Saga, from a flavor standpoint, is beautiful too because Urza was such a force, and I'm not gonna say good or bad because he was a very complex character.
He was a right
but
dick.
yes, but he was very much like a Voldemort. Like he did great things, not necessarily good or evil things, but they were great. And he he his impact on the planes he touched, like they're woven into the land. They're woven into that plane.
Exactly.
So the fact that it is a land makes sense.
No, I think it's really, yeah, I agree. I think that like from a design flavor standpoint, it's a really awesome design. I'm a big fan of that. And honestly, it's funny you mentioned that because we're going to be going back to Dominaria with the next set. I'm really hoping that we get, because like these saga cards are used to like where they're like stories, right? So like what I really want to see in Dominaria United is a set of sagas that tell stories about things we're going to see happen in the Brothers War.
Yeah.
That's a thing I really want to see, and I really also, because I'm kind of thinking some things are gonna happen, and like we're gonna go back in time in the Brothers War, like Teferi and friends.
I think we're gonna have to.
And they're gonna undo some things, and I think it's gonna have unforeseen consequences. Because I have a strong feeling that this is gonna turn into that Yawgmoth is the next bad guy.
Yeah, they have. So they definitely
which I would love, by the way.
Oh yeah, no, they have definitely hinted at this idea that Shield Dread is there. There are Phyrexian sleepers on the new Dominaria.
Well, yeah, because we have a card called Phyrexian Sleeper.
yeah. And then people were like, "Oh my God, it's Dominaria United, as in united under Phyrexia." We know
united
that
against.
Yeah, or they see it could be either, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like what they did. It was because instead of it was supposed to be New Phyrexia or what was Mirrodin? The Mirrodin.
Yeah, I forget the name.
But they
did the vote where.
Yeah, but it was
won.
A trick.
Yeah.
It was a trick because it was Mirrodin pure, and it was like, oh yeah, pure Phyrexian. Haha.
Yeah.
So. Also, did you see the little lore bit where Yajaya was killed by a Johnny
Johnny Complete.
Johnny Complete.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it was exciting.
I think that's a gut punch. Like obviously, if I had found it out in the story, it would have hurt more.
I would have loved for that to have been like a pure, like card reveal, a Johnny Complete,
like they did with
feeling you'd get.
Like they did with Tamio.
Oh yes.
But they
we need to get a Legion of Doom set of Planeswalkers. Like we got the Oath of the Gatewatch, and are we to get the Anti-Gatewatch? Although notably, by the way, this is the first actual member of the Gatewatch to be turned.
Yes.
You know, Gideon, he just died. Like, and Johnny, now he's gonna be Phyrexian, which I'm actually excited. Of all of the one-dimensional characters they could have brought back, because Johnny is fairly one-note. It's like I'm happy that they're turning a Johnny.
Yeah, no, he did that. He did that one thing where he got super mad and stopped Bolus's plans the one time where he went red. And then after that, he's been pretty much the same.
He's just been white cat guy.
Yeah.
Sometimes green white cat guy.
Yeah. So that is very exciting, but I think these events are going to make them think like, oh no, we have to go back.
Yeah, we have to go back in time, and then I'm really hoping that like it just like, oh, we change something about the past, butterfly effect, and then our next set is them coming back and like Dominaria is completely changed.
Yeah.
And I'm really hoping it's a Dominaria where like the events they change, it's like where Yawgmoth won.
Yeah.
So it's
yeah.
Like, because I really, really want a Yawgmoth card that's not. He can't be a Planeswalker. He very specifically cannot be the super type Planeswalker.
No.
But he has to be somewhere in between a creature and a Planeswalker.
Yeah, I think.
Can it be our first creature with loyalty counters?
You know who I want to
pay life instead of loyalty counters?
That'd be great.
Or like.
I do want to see a character that I want to see that we have seen. Keep in mind, we have seen as recently as War of the Spark, but he hasn't had a whole lot of major story significance, but is a man who has successfully changed time. Sarkhan.
That's true. He could get involved because he is the one person who is successful in changing time.
Yeah, in fact, he exists despite the fact that he changed time. He is a man outside of time.
Yes. Yeah. Well, it would be really cool to bring back Sarkhan to do something because I think that would make that'd make for a good time. By the way, did you see the other story beat that got dropped about the Raven Man?
Yes.
The Raven Man is Limdul?
Yes, I would. Oh man,
it sounds like he's going to be a part of this set.
Well, that's the thing too. Like,
because like he's in the story stuff.
Yeah, so here's the thing too, right? Like, okay, this is Limdul. Well, they go back, and what if Limdul does like maybe I could even see Liliana having like a motive here, right? She's like, okay, well, I know now that Limdul is the Raven Man, and if I want to undo all of the pain in my life, I just have to make sure Limdul never becomes the Raven Man.
Exactly. Which I think would make for an interesting story, because then we could get like a white Liliana.
Yeah, well, not only
like
but
in the
also
follow-up set where because she'd stop to exist, right?
Yeah, well,
she'd be big Sarkhan. She'd be out of time.
Yeah, so not only that,
a white-black Liliana.
Yeah, a white-black Liliana, but you could even see, she could even be like, oh, well, if maybe I didn't go down this path, Gideon would have never died. So maybe we bring Gideon back. But Gideon's sacrifice led to Nicol Bolas being imprisoned.
Yeah, just like unravels a lot of the last couple of story beats. Because like then, how does that impact like the how does it impact things like the sealing of the Eldrazi and the killing of Kozilek and because I think that would make for a rather interesting set where like they accidentally undo everything that all the good they did and they just undid it by mistake.
Yeah.
Without really the intention to do so, but the butterfly effect and unseen repercussions of changing events that happened in the past. Because it could be something as simple like if say they change the past and it turns out Yawgmoth won, and that changes everything. Because that would that would change everything. Because you know what doesn't like because Liliana's from Dominaria, correct?
Yeah, originally, yes. I believe she is originally from Dominaria.
How do the events that create her happen if Yawgmoth won? She would probably never have been born.
Yeah,
let
that's true.
alone had suffered her tragic life. So it's like, there's things like that. Like, what if we get a Liliana complete? She accepts that.
Oh, yeah.
To undo the pain. Brother can't die if he never lived. Boom. I'm really excited because I'm really, really hoping that's what it turns into.
Oh, her first name on Strixhaven was Seraphina. I had no idea.
All right then.
Yeah, I was just double checking who was Dominaria, and that's right in the top.
Yeah, she is Dominarian. Yeah,
Yep.
because that's I remember that being like a thing in because Jasu Vess
Was in Dominaria.
was a
Yep.
Dominaria character. Yeah, and that's her
Yeah,
brother.
because he became a lich.
Yes, and I'm really excited because I'm really excited for like the lore and how that's going to change with the next coming sets because I think that could make for quite a lot of fun and it's probably the most interesting piece
Oh
of
yeah.
Dominaria. And I'm also excited because like the cards we've seen look really cool. Um, I'm excited to see a Johnny complete. I think that's going to be a
Yes.
lot of fun. And if the rumors are to be heard, we're going to have 4 sets dedicated to this story beat. And I love that. I'm really excited because I think War of the Spark was like the last time we really had a lot of like big story moments
Yeah.
that really stuck with people. But like if we could like set up a new bad guy, because like there's also speculation that like Oko is probably like one of the next big bad guys.
I mean, yeah, he was a very powerful character in that story.
Yeah, he's a very powerful character in general because he's a
Yeah.
trickster. Like he's very
Yep.
similar to Tybalt in that way,
Yeah.
which I think would be quite exciting. But I think we can ramp it up there. It's about 9:30 by me, about 10:30 by you.
Yep.
So I think we had a good time. We played some Blue White Heroic. We built a Bant Heroic deck that I think we'll probably try that out maybe
Sure.
a little bit in the on Thursday stream if we have some extra time after the budget battle. But I'm really looking forward to our next budget battle. It's gonna be a great time.
Yes.
But it's been an absolute pleasure, Drabby Noobs. Of course, I want to thank all our viewers for watching. If you want to stay up to date with our content, if you're watching here on Twitch, you can go ahead and hit that follow button. Or, of course, if you're watching with us on YouTube, you can go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And don't forget to click that bell. Of course, we appreciate you all for watching. We will see you again soon.